He covered for you last time, so. Go.
It being February 28th, 2013, I call a meeting of the District School Committee to order. Would you please stand and pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Introduction of members.
I'm Steve Tringali from Millville.
Erin Panaco, Millville.
Brian Faulkner, Millville.
Anna Franchosa, Blackstone.
Kathy Robinson, Millville.
Wendy Greenstein, Blackstone.
Mike Buckley, Blackstone.
Diane Robin, Blackstone.
John Eldridge, Blackstone.
Kim Shaver Hood, Superintendent.
Next order of business is to approve the consent agenda A items. We all have that.
Make a motion to accept consent agenda A.
Motion by Diane Robin,
Second.
seconded by Michael Buckley to accept consent agenda A. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying nay. There's a vote, and I so declare. Warrants are,
No, consent agenda B. Do we have one?
Yes.
Yes.
Homeschool.
okay, I'm sorry. Consent agenda B.
Do you have?
We all have that?
Right here.
Homeschooling. Mr. and Mrs. James Zeroni will homeschool their son Dominic Zeroni. Mrs. Zeroni is a certified teacher to participate in Life at Catholic Cooperative Group, Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and Richards, the Rhode Island Christian Homeschooling Group. Pleasure of the committee.
I make a motion to accept consent agenda B.
Second.
Motion by Diane Robbins, seconded by Kathy Robinson.
Discussion.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying nay.
Nay.
Mr. Buckley be recorded as voting nay and continuing his policy and philosophy on homeschooling. Field trip request.
I'm sorry. I think I have a different one.
Field trip request, do we
No,
have
that
it?
was part of consent agenda A.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, so we're done. Public forum.
Now we have to, the minutes of the meeting are okay as well. Public
Yes.
forum. Anybody who wishes to speak to the committee? The opportunity to do that would be now. Very good. We will continue. Report of student representatives. Hannah, welcome.
All right, so the boys basketball team, they've made the playoffs. They defeated Auburn in their first round of playoffs, and their score was 61-48. And there was a great show of support from the students, even though it was an away game. Tonight they are playing Gardner, so good luck to them. All winter sports except for basketball right now have officially finished, and spring sports tryouts are March 18th. Winter Percussion had 2 shows, and right now they are undefeated. Their highest score so far has been a 79, which is really great for the beginning of their season. And Winter Guard at their home show last Sunday, they came in 2nd place. Also, the jazz band on Monday, they're going to be competing at the Central District Jazz Festival, and they're really practicing hard for that. And on March 12th, there's a band concert.
Very good. Thank you very much. And our other student representative isn't here.
Is he playing basketball?
Yeah, he's at the game.
Oh, that's where we hope to be shortly,
Move this along.
is at the basketball game as well. Thank you very much, Anna. Appointments, number 6 on the agenda. Ethan Rowan, members of the 2012-2013
I
basketball
don't think
team.
they're going to be
They're
here.
busy.
Busy right now.
We'll go see
to the
them.
game.
That's all right, we'll go see
We
them.
should take it to them. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. All
Need a
right.
motion for that?
Motion to move the meeting.
Justin Cameron. Justin, come on up. Nice to see you.
I'd like to bring up Colin Janet Davis, too, who's the co-chair of the middle school council.
Welcome.
Welcome.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to pass something out.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
On what you're passing out, or the whole thing?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just maybe the work that the council's done in this initiative.
In this initiative? Well, we're looking to add on to the health and wellness curriculum by adding human development and family life. It would be a week-long unit to co-ed, one section for girls, one section for boys. Really for a lot of reasons, but to improve sort of the whole social atmosphere of the school too by adding to the curriculum and behavior work.
So to take even a further step back, the council started last year in thinking about what might be missing here at the middle school in terms of curriculum. And even though their body of work and their focus isn't necessarily just curriculum, you know, they are a legal body, and that's where this plays a role, because you know the law, there is a state law in terms of if we move forward with a human development or family life curriculum, the state law clearly reads that that's within our right as a middle school and as a district, but we would have to provide to parents what the curriculum is and provide them with an opportunity to opt out. The school council, led by the work of Janet Davis, had an opportunity to really look at all the surrounding middle schools. And we did find that we're one of the very few middle schools that do not offer this. And clearly a concern is if it's just offered at a high school, is it too late? And you know, are we truly educating them or are we not? If you know the guidance office are taxed up at the high school because of problems that if we were in a place to educate the students, you know, we could have been preempted in some concerns. What you have in front of you is just a quick poll question. I do a principal's newsletter every month. There's two newsletters that come from the middle school. One is just from me, the other one is from teachers. And oftentimes in the newsletter I send out electronically to it's over 600 email addresses. I like to embed a question, a quick poll question. So this is the last one that I sent out. As you can see, I usually don't get about over 200 responses. So this was, you know, an exercise in maybe just the question itself or some keywords the question really grabbed and you know, brought these parents in to answer it. I do believe it was overwhelmingly answered yes. The 9 no's, I did have 2 families who reached out to me, and I encouraged that. One mother who I met with yesterday, who said that you know, she was more of a, I would probably opt out my daughter for religious reasons than a, I don't believe this should be offered to students in Blackstone, Millville, or the middle school.
Really?
Do you have any questions?
So those, just one question on that last point that you made, that the 2 no's here are not, are those represented by,
There are actually 9 no's.
I'm sorry, there are 9 no's.
Yeah, there's about 2 bonds.
So the one person who you spoke to would actually then drop into the 3rd category,
I think
right?
so.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
after our conversation, she felt a lot more comfortable. You know, even the framework of a question, you know, oftentimes educators forget that, you know, parents who, you know, clearly support their children, you know, in learning, forget about, you know, how a day might look like. So when Mrs. Davis said that we would possibly teach or deliver this curriculum 3 to 5 days, let me be clear in how that would look. It would actually be probably in science classes. I see this in science classes as much as in the health and wellness area, although maybe a hybrid of the two. And this one parent who came in actually thought their child the whole day would be receiving this curriculum. And again, being from education, and full disclosure, I taught family life in South Borough, Mass. For 10 years. So, you know, my frame of reference was there. And honestly, she felt a lot better just knowing it wasn't going to be an entire day. Her daughter was going to be, you know, learning about changes in the body and, you know, what sexual harassment is and topics like that. It would just be one period.
Further
Did that answer your
questions?
question?
Yes.
No, if they do opt out, what would their choices be for this week, or where would they go, or what would happen?
It's very similar in other districts. So, what's nice about education is, certainly we can come up with our own opt-out form, but, I already have principals that have said just take ours, and that's what's nice, because it's, legal jargon. And to answer your question, though, they would probably report, have an adult and, do work of a science nature, pun intended, I suppose, that, had less to do with, getting knee-deep or waist-deep, into sexuality or, puberty and things like that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further questions? Hearing none. You have anything else to say? The food was great. Very much. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for bringing this forward. It's
Yeah.
very impressive.
You're welcome. Thank you. I just want to, it's a credit to the school council this year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that require a vote of the committee too?
No.
And moving right along, C, under we're looking at solar project proposal. Oh, Justin, you're coming back.
One more time.
I'm sorry.
Head to the basketball game.
Well, then
Yeah.
we'll hurry it up.
How'd I forget that?
Your free gifts.
Yeah, they told me that. I'm saying, what the heck is it? It's not a raisin.
Something, I was like,
It's not chocolate chipping.
What is that?
Will you still eat it? Thank you.
Thank you.
It is.
So the app that's open right now is the one that I'm just going to model for you. No,
Look at this, Mike. Huh?
Get that on camera.
Picture of John with that.
Yeah, on camera.
Jesse, focus in on this, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just do a very brief presentation in the 2012 spring MCAS, where the middle school has gone since then, the work that the faculty and staff have done in faculty meetings, and we're at the dawn of the 2013 MCAS, which actually is just a few weeks away. We're looking to take delivery of this, the early spring MCAS on Monday. The way in which that I'm going to present some slides to you, I figured, I would come off the cliched PowerPoint and just share some slides with you through an app that actually Miss Shaver Hood tweeted to Professional Development Pinterest board, and I had heard that a teacher was using this at the middle school. It's called Chirp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chirp some slides over to you, and it's as simple as this. On my iPad, I'm going to take from the first slide that I want to present to you. We're going to start with 8th grade math, and we're going to take a look at a chart from the 2012. So I'm going to see how well I chirp this chart over to you.
Chirp.
Chirp.
Chirping.
It's chirping. Now, don't press anything because you might chirp something back to me, and I do want to focus on this graph for just a second. Was I successful? Because I was talking while chirping.
Got it.
All right, great. So if you can see, this is grade 8 math. This is actually a chart that's available to the public. So this is not something that I needed in the data warehouse to log in. And that was important to me in such a public forum, is to provide for you slides or charts that's available to somebody in California that is interested in how the Hartnett Middle School did in math in grade 8.
and where can the public find these? On the Mass DOE, correct?
Correct, yeah. And I'm happy to, give an exact link at another time. I know we're live, but can't dump it in afterwards. All right, so if you look at this graph, I do want to point out that your 2012, which is the right bar, if you take a look at your advanced, and then you look at the number 12, so the dark blue, you see that our 8th grade last year, which is our current 9th graders, received the highest score in advanced in math. And I know this only goes back to 2009, but I can bring you back to the beginning of the school. So last year's 8th grade, not only in the advanced, but then if you go all the way to the right, please look at the number 12 and where the red bar is for warning. So not only in 8th grade were we the highest in the history of our building, advanced in math, we were the lowest in our warning as well. And this, I do start on a very, very positive way, because the 8th grade last year, again, this current 9th grade, really did perform well in standardized testing and on the MCAS. And, it's a testament to, we had a lot of turnover in 8th grade, and how they came together, the 8th grade teachers, I think is just remarkable. And their approach and their methodology in a 21st century way, I truly think is being represented here. And I wanted to make sure that was shared. That's not to say, if we look at a couple other graphs where, we did flatline a little and there wasn't a lot of growth, it wasn't because the 7th grade teachers or the 6th grade teachers weren't necessarily, but I do say that age, 8th grade, they really respond well to a 21st century technology-embedded, project-based, hands-on. And if you ever have an opportunity with Ms. Shaver-Hood to walk our building and to go into 8th grade, like say STEM classes, what they're doing is great stuff, and it really is reflected here. With that said, I will transition into the 8th grade chart, because I do want to remark that this chart that I send you, there's absolute room for improvement. And an analysis that the teachers did, the science teachers did in the faculty and staff meetings, is when you look at, say, your advanced, which our history, our 4-year history here is very low. Our warnings, if you see, we're in a good pace as far as, minimizing our warning score, but there's still work to do. And it was actually a quite simple analysis. We found that when students are taking the science MCAS in 8th grade, they almost forget the literacy that was promoted and taught to them. The open response questions, and this is true of the state, by the way, the open response questions weren't even close to how the same student scored in the open response questions in the math, but primarily the ELA MCAS in 8th grade as well. So we have spent the year, and I'm not going to bore you with charts. I want to get to how we responded as a faculty and staff in just a minute. But I did want to share just an example of not only are the STEM classes writing, not only are the science classes writing, but I have a work sample here from an 8th grade girl that comes from her ELA class. And the writing prompt was independently read. The students had to independently read a Discover Science article, the genre of nonfiction, about current genetic research, summarize it for the reader, then decide whether or not the research should continue and support your answer with information from the text. This is an 8th grade girl who wrote this essay, and I think when you have the time to really just reflect upon this and read it yourself, I truly think you're going to think this is coming from high school or even college. So I did want to just take a second and share. This was done in Mrs. Kozlowski's ELA class, 8th grade ELA. She's working very closely with our science teachers, our STEM teachers, to promote literacy, writing, and the opportunity to not only expose them to reading, but get it into their writing vocabulary. Because if they feel like writers when they sit in front of their science MCAS, then the average score of 1.8 for that open response is going to be more of a 3.2. The highest score is a 4, of course, and that's going to do wonders in our overall scores. So with the chairman's permission, I'd just
You
like
may.
to share this work sample.
Certainly.
So can I just ask a quick question? So what you're saying is the reading is where they're stumbling, is the content and the heaviness of the reading MCAS, and it's just carried over into science. Is that correct? The depth of the vocabulary in the open responses?
The depth and the lack of depth in the vocabulary, and honestly, I really feel,
Thank you.
and I felt this as a middle school teacher myself. I was a middle school 7th grade ELA teacher. So when I would conference or be a part of a professional learning community with, say, my social studies teacher, who was a 7th grade social studies teacher, he used to be very, very proud and want me to be proud of him because he assigned his students an essay. Then I would ask for his work samples. And what I found was, and my first few years of teaching was, they don't seem like they're the same writer when they're writing for the social studies teacher than when they write for the ELA teacher. Now, part of that, I'll be very honest, full disclosure, is the social studies teacher, the science teacher, needs to promote literacy in the same way than the ELA teacher. The methodology and the way the instruction is delivered has to be the same. If a student asks a math teacher, if they are practicing an open response question, does spelling count? Absolutely it counts. Your ELA teacher would be, and I know if you know about MCAS, they're not so much worried about spelling, but if you are trying to build them a vocabulary and have them use that in their writing vocabulary, which is different from their reading vocabulary, then you have to have them know how to spell a word. Because if they don't know how to spell it, they're going to dumb down the word and try to use for different words. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. But this was done in an ELA, correct? The science open response was done in an ELA class?
It was, yeah. That's more of an essay than an open response. It was done in the ELA class. Which, again, I think is important because not only does the student may not expect a writing assignment from her science teacher, I truly believe when they're sitting in front of the ELA teacher, they're thinking it's going to be a creative writing piece or a story or not something of a reflect upon this nonfiction science work and write about it. Is there any other questions based upon, so I can present more data to you. I just want to move forward in how the middle school is moving forward and the response by the faculty and the staff. So I'm going to send you a link. There are a lot of exceptions there. Let's try to send it again. Now, honestly, your screen should just look like this, though. We're all going to tap and follow. What's nice about this app at Turf is we are a Google Docs district. As much as we're using iPads and Apple technology, I'm really trying to support and promote with the teachers to use Google Docs. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a Google Doc. And what's nice about Google Docs, similar to the survey that all of you just put out and the survey I just had available to students naming the new eating area, is that you can interact with your Google Docs or Google Forms. So all you have to do is press the middle, the globe, and then you probably want to just tap on Open in Safari. This is an actual Google Doc, so if you were to change it, I would see it here, and you don't have to chirp it to me. This was just meant for sharing purposes, of course. So this was, or this is, excuse me, the MCAS improvement plan that the faculty and the staff here at the middle school has adopted. I'm not going to read all of it to you. I will share that the increased time in literacy was paramount and in the works well before we received our scores back. So we were fortunate enough last year, and you've heard me say this, so I apologize, I am repeating myself. We had a literacy committee that absolutely focused on the fact that middle schoolers need more time in literacy and in front of licensed ELA teachers. So it was very difficult to do in the schedule that we have here at the middle school, but we found a way. And the 6th and the 7th graders are receiving, the actual minutes are here somewhere, over 6,000 additional instruction minutes in literacy, and that is in reading and writing. And we're truly hoping that, even before receiving the scores from 2012, that would make a difference in 2013. And we're very shortly going to find out, although we're still in a place where the state does take many months for the results to come back, of course.
Can you talk, how does that relate to having teams versus not having teams? Because I know it's been kind of choppy the last couple of years because of various situations.
I'll be honest, you can still do that model, not having the small teams. Having the small teams, it doesn't, do one in favor or do one to harm it. You can still do it, a model like that. And I came from a middle school that didn't have 2 small teams, and the model that is in place now, when I was a 7th grade ELA teacher, I had 3 sets of students, and 2 sets I had twice for almost a block, even if it wasn't back-to-back. Language arts, that will focus on building my writing, and reading, that will be focused upon not only reading to learn, but learning to read as well, as that's what middle school is all about. You're striking a balance, and you have to scaffold to the student who's still learning to read, but then you have students who are able to read a science article, gain knowledge from it, and then, put those literacy skills to work in a way.
I have a question.
Of course.
Are you doing any additional or giving any additional services to the students who receive below a 240 on their MCAS, which puts them in the needs improvement
In
the area of math and language arts?
Okay, thank you. In math, yes, we have a Title I math program, so they're found eligible for the Title I math program. It's a multi-sensory program. So not only are students getting those services available to them, but then they also get some time with their own math teacher as well.
And when does this occur? When is this occurring?
During rotation periods?
So is it taking the place of?
Nope. We have additional, art is a perfect example, and PE is a perfect example. We have additional art and PE classes that certainly it would be in place of that, but it wouldn't be in place of their traditional PE class. We also have foreign languages available at the middle school. So is it offered instead of? Well, we promote to parents that maybe their area of focus should be helping refine the math and focus on the math instead of learning, say, the French. So it's in those areas in the middle school.
Thank you.
Well,
Further questions?
in here too is some focus upon the STEM, but I feel like I have taken some time sharing with all of you the efforts at the middle school, and we are looking at a pretty, what I think would be a dynamic grant in partnering up with WPI. We're very close, and I'm very fortunate, and I want to say publicly the work that the high school principal, Mr. Dudak, has done, because I felt I was very close to this grant last year at this time, and I asked for candid feedback to why the district wasn't awarded the grant, and it was very clear. They really wanted some energy up at the high school and a commitment at the high school. So a STEM curriculum more, 6 to 12, and then it would be probably opened up district-wide as well. So I wanted to remark on that. And we have another family literacy night coming up as well. I think I shared with you during another meeting that we have a school council and our National Junior Honor Society that is using the One Call Now system for instructional purposes. And we're putting out a One Call Now message with a DARE, a drop everything and read, which was highly successful, and middle school families, a lot of them participated, which I think is a wonderful way to flip, what has been in public schools, this DARE initiative, for many, many years. Another way to flip it is everyone is celebrating Read Across America in public schools on tomorrow, on March 1st. But Dr. Seuss's birthday is actually March 2nd, on Saturday. So this creative measure allows us to actually promote the literacy actually on his birthday and celebrate Read Across America as a public school on a Saturday. So we're going to place that phone call, and the NJHS member is going to leave a message on my iPhone. I'm going to play it on the phone, and it's going to be embarked out to, I think we have 640 middle school phone numbers. And we got something like, I think, 340 families that participated. They wrote down their titles of the books that they read. And I just think it's a wonderful idea that comes from both School Council and National Junior Honor Society that shares with our families that, we are working in literacy, it's not just our work as educators. It's the family as well.
That's your report.
I think that's great.
Excellent, yeah.
Not a choppy, but
Yeah,
No,
no,
really,
not at all.
very interesting.
I'll be
and,
looking forward to my phone call.
Great job. Thank you.
I think I have to take
Thank
it. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, I looked and mine didn't get the...
You didn't get the
That's all right.
I'm gonna send some pictures.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thought I was going to be able to keep it. Okay, moving right along. Discussion of solar project proposal. You may.
Okay, thank you. If you recall, the last meeting, the Boys and Girls Club came to us asking us about the solar project. I placed the packet that they gave us at your site today, and I would ask the committee what their pleasure is as far as joining with the Simply Solar or holding. We need to make a decision as we need to sign as of March 1st.
Really?
Well, I
Yeah.
think he had said that it was non-binding.
It is non-binding.
It's,
The letter of intent is non-binding, but the agreement would be binding for 20 years.
What is the pleasure of the committee on the solar project proposal? Anybody have any comments?
Did they ever get back to us on the difference that was pointed out on the chart where it increased after 2032 up to, it went from 80,000 to 343,000? They didn't, remember did they ever get back to us?
No.
The executive summary is similar but different numbers. It still goes from 105 to 470 in 1 year.
I would think we still need to look at those numbers, or find the numbers, or have them get back to us with what those numbers were.
But they stated, the letter of intent, they just needed so many of these to move to the next step for their project.
Then how imperative is it that we sign this today?
I don't think it is.
You don't think it is?
I thought they wanted us to sign a letter of intent in 30 days.
Right. What I would be happy to do is to contact Boys and Girls Club, ask them for some additional information and clarification, and then come back to you on the next meeting in March.
Well, I'd like to take that a step further. I'd like to see, like, I noticed that they talk about, what our cost will be. How does that compare to what we're paying now? Are these, real savings? And then, just a little concerned about, like, okay, item 4 on the first page, will share their own costs and expenses in connection. Yeah, how much is that? I'd really personally like to see us explore solar, whether it's this agreement or any others that may be coming down the road, and just see what the best option is for the district. I wouldn't say no to it at this point in time, but to kind of like try to finish this up. I think we have so many balls in the air right now that I don't think anyone has the time to really, study this proposal. And maybe we need to have a subcommittee or something to really look at that.
The concern I have is that there's a pretty significant length of time that we make a commitment to. And in that time period, technologies are going to change dramatically. We're tied into that for, I think it's almost 23, 24 years. The other thing is if they came back and said, well, here's what the current rate is, and we'll tie the rates every year to whatever National Grid or whatever the benchmark is, and we'll guarantee you 10% less than that, I'll sign up for that. But there's no guarantee
even if
that
the kilowatt hour stuff.
Yeah, so let's say that National Grid in 10 years selling cheaper than this for whatever technologies they've improved on. Right now we could look like geniuses, but 20 years from now they'll be hating us.
So the pleasure of
Unless
the
we're all
committee,
still on the
have it
committee.
appear on a future agenda? Yeah. Very good, Ken. We
Okay,
can do
thank
that.
you.
Subcommittee report, strategic planning, Diane Robin and Brian Faulkner.
Meeting scheduled for next Tuesday evening here to hopefully get through the rest of the core values. With the exception of one, we're going to continue to work on. That's going to probably take another session. So we've got the 5th, 6 to 8 o'clock here, and the 19th, which is another Tuesday night, also from 6 to 8 here.
Very good.
Everyone's welcome.
Let's say that again.
Everyone is welcome.
Okay. All right. Policy, Diane Robin, John Eldridge. We have no policies to look at, so the policy committee did nothing. Regional agreement, Aaron Vanaco and Wendy Greenstein, and Kathy Robinson.
We've been really busy.
Know that.
We, within the past 12 hours, we put up the survey for the parents. Thanks to Ms. Arquetto, she posted it also on the new banner on the district website and also on Facebook. Parents are encouraged to answer these questions, so it can lead us in a direction that the community is looking for. There is a deadline on that. That deadline is, I believe, March 8th. So we're looking for as many people to answer that survey as possible. I know the PTOs both have the survey and are sending it out. And in the past 12 hours, we've had about 43 people already answer the survey. So we definitely appreciate all the active parents answering the survey and look forward to seeing the results.
Thank you very much. Legislative, Mr. Buckley.
No news is good news at this point in time, Mr. Chairman.
I hear that. Facilities, Mr. Faulkner, Mr. Buckley, and Mrs. Vanaco.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Very good, thank you. Communication, right back at you, Mr. Buckley.
Hey, this is a big night. It was historic. This is the first time the BMI
right.
School Committee meeting has been live.
That's right.
So congratulations to our videographer, Jesse Dufo, for and his hard work in getting this done, and thanks to the cooperation in the local access group to finally be able to originate here. We've been talking about this since, well, you got a full head of hair, John, right?
That's right.
But no, we've been talking about this for a long time. We had hoped to get this done by September, so it's September somewhere. So congratulations. I'm glad we could finally meet that obligation. So that's all I have.
Report of the superintendent. Thank you, Mr. Buckley.
Thank you. Also on the table, you received a vote to submit a statement of interest. This is, and so I would be asking the committee to take a vote for Millville Elementary. This would allow me to submit an MSBA roof replacement proposal for the Millville Elementary. I need this vote. I will be attending the Board of Selectmen in Millville on Monday night. They will be taking the same vote, and I'm in the process of putting together the application. I certainly will provide the committee a copy of the report when it's completed. And if you remember from the other votes that we took with the high school and the complex, this needs to be said exactly how it's written for the MSBA, because then I will be taking the minutes from both the regional school district and the Board of Selectmen, because I need to submit them along with the application. So at this time, I would be asking for someone to please make a motion.
Pleasure of the committee.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Buckley, seconded by Mrs. Robin. Discussion. Discussion? Did the chair hear anything? No? All in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying nay. There's a vote, and I so declare it.
And we would assume that this whole thing is written into the minutes, and I will give you a copy. Okay, thank you. Just to provide a brief update on our MSBA projects, we're moving ahead. The towns have a meeting on March 11th. We would encourage all to get out and to support the vote for the roof projects. We're looking at the high school and the JFK AFM. We will be attending on Wednesday. There'll be an open hearing meeting in Millville, and followed by the 11th. I've been in communication with MSBA. Everything seems to be on track with our projects, and now we're just waiting for the funding instrument to kick in. And certainly we'll be putting together some informational YouTube videos, and we will put out on the cable information about the projects, how we've arrived at this point, and certainly if anybody has any questions, we would be very happy to answer them. If you have questions, please email me or call me, and I would include that in the video.
Very good.
And finally, we're continuing to work on our budget for FY14. We have an open hearing coming in, how many days was it, 9?
9.
9 days, and we will be moving forward. Part of the budget process is we've been looking at our user fees. We've surveyed 15 schools. We found user fees ranging from $375 to $0, and we are on the low end at $80. It's highly likely that at the next meeting I will be asking for the committee to vote to increase user fees. This money that's collected goes toward either athletics or music, and it helps offset some of the cost. We've also looked at the caps. The caps have ranged from 500, 600, 300, 320. So there's quite a variety of ranges in the caps of the schools that we've looked at. I will also include that when I report back to the committee next week. I've had conversations with both Mr. Johnson and Mr. Beppo for band, getting their input and trying to make this adjustment as smooth as possible. And that would complete my report.
Very good. Thank you very much. Public forum, there being nobody here. That fits very nicely. Committee forum, Mr. Tringali.
I'd just like to say I attended the home show this past weekend, and every time I attend one of those events, I'm just thoroughly impressed by the students, number one, the Winter Percussion Group and the Winter Guard, but beyond that, just the commitment and the dedication of the parents. The parents groups are amazing. The parents, they're working, I don't even know how many hours, but they're just working so hard. They're running concessions, they're running the cafeteria, they're helping out carrying props. It's tremendous what they do. It really is. But it's just great to see. And actually, I believe both groups and some of the bands are performing at the craft fair this Sunday at the high school. So hopefully people turn out for that.
Very good.
I would just like to send out the best wishes to the family that was affected by the fire. There are kids in our schools that were affected by the fire. And I know there's been a lot of donations from both communities. I believe that they're definitely getting things that they need. But I know they're still looking for gift cards for local restaurants, supermarkets, and those can be dropped off at the middle school, right, Ms. Sherman? I'm sure that it's just complete devastation, so I just want to send out our best wishes to them.
Very nice. Brian?
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Kathy?
They covered that with the band shell and the family who had lost their home.
Very nice. Wendy?
I'm all set, thank you.
All set, thank you. Michael?
Kudos to the young man, McLaughlin. It was
Yes.
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 a member of the class of 2011 who has been selected as Richard Neal's appointment as to the United States Army
West Point.
West Point. Congratulations to him, wishing him well, and I did take a moment to send him a note, and he replied very quickly.
Yeah, and I did too,
thanked
and
me
he
for
did,
the,
yeah.
for the kind words. So it's really nice to see local young man, and I guess he'll finish his first year at Stonehill and then start again, but that's a wonderful opportunity. Just a reminder also, as we've covered it a week from Monday night, is a special town meeting in both towns. Very important matters to be discussed, the roof projects in Regional High School and the complex. Very important that voters turn out. And we've been to the Blackstone Finance Committee, and we'll be with the Millville people this coming week to hopefully offer any explanation that they may need. We know that it's a difficult time, but these are safety issues, and the safety of our students are paramount in their own mind, and it's important that we receive a vote in the affirmative for this project, for these projects, and the state is, we are eligible for about 57, almost 58% reimbursement. So that's a pretty significant amount of money that is going to be borne by the Commonwealth. So I urge you all to take a moment and take a few minutes and join us in the Maloney Sullivan Auditorium in Blackstone and in the Margaret Carroll Auditorium in Millville on the 11th. So, thank you.
Very good. Diane Robin?
Just a thank you tonight to the students and the food services staff that treated us. We had some interesting options that it's always nice to try something new. Thank you for the turnout at the blood drive that we had here in Blackstone and also at BVT. So thank you for everybody that came out for that. And if you didn't make it to the blood drives locally, there's always a blood drive near you. And that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. I very quickly, happy to tell the committee that the past chairman of this district, Chuck Singleton, his son will graduate tomorrow from Paris Island. I spoke with him early this morning. He's down there with Brandon, and several pictures have been sent up. Talk about a proud parent and a proud kid. But it's something that his son wanted to do, and we can already thank him for his service. Just going through that recruit training is in and of itself one heck of a challenge. And I, too, will echo what Mr. Buckley said. The choice for that special town meeting in Blackstone and in Millville will be either you get a 54.74 reimbursement on a multi-million-dollar project, or you suck it up yourself, all $8 million. It's going to be very important that a quorum attend and that a affirmative vote is cast. And it's not a choice, it's a necessity. So we urge all of the residents in Blackstone and Millville to attend those meetings. And that's all I have. That completing the agenda without the executive session, obviously, we don't need an executive session, I'm told. And that's a nice thing to hear as well. So we're already returning to the open session. And the next
Motion to
item on the
adjourn.
agenda is to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn by Diane Robin, seconded by Brian Faulkner. All in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed will signify by saying nay. It is a vote, and I so declare.
Oh, yeah.
Vanilla.
Thank you.
From Mexico, yes.
Thank you.
Good night.